Movie summary, Machete, 2010. A vehicle travels along the road, carrying two federal agents, Machete Cortez and his partner. They are on their way to rescue a young woman who is being held captive by a merciless drug lord named Torres. Machete's cell phone rings. His immediate superior, the Mexican federal chief, angrily orders them to halt and await the arrival of backup. Machete grasps the phone and destroys it with his grip. Arriving at a small villa, the car stops in front of a three-story house with barred windows. Three armed men exit the house. Machete accelerates his vehicle directly toward the house and the men positioned in front of it. They commence shooting as the car races towards them. Machete's partner is hit by a hail of gunfire shortly before the car plows through their line. Upon entering the house, Machete swiftly thwarts an ambush by severing the hand of an assailant who was aiming a gun at him. Machete enters the fray, eliminating all the men in the house with both his gun and machete. He bursts into the room where the kidnapped victim is lying naked on the bed. He lifts her over his shoulder and carries her out. The kidnapped victim pulls the machete from Machete's belt and stabs him through the thigh. She kicks him in the face. Torres enters with his henchwoman, who rewards the naked chick for her role in capturing Machete by shooting her in the head. Machete is filled with horror as he witnesses the brutal slaughter of his wife directly in front of him. They set the house on fire, leaving him to burn. Agent Sartana Rivera is doing surveillance and taking photos at a small taco stand run by a pretty young woman named Luz. Sartana Rivera pauses at the sight of a face she finds interesting, a tall, muscular, Mexican man with scars and tattoos. It is Machete. Along the US-Mexico border, a van transports a group of immigrants to a location near the border, instructing them to exit and continue the journey on foot. A young man pleads for help for his ailing, heavily pregnant wife, but the indifferent driver responds by aiming a gun at his face. A jeep speeds toward the immigrants, its driver and passengers whooping and calling roundup time. Von Jackson, a wealthy Texan landowner who has a strong aversion to illegal immigrants, steps out of the van. The husband of the pregnant woman is injured, and she cannot run in her current state. Von draws his weapon and shoots the woman in the stomach, fatally injuring both her and her unborn child. A television advertisement features Senator John McLaughlin, who is campaigning for re-election in the Texas State Senate. The advertisement ruthlessly compares immigrants to parasites who bleed America dry from the inside out, and shows that McLaughlin supports constructing an electrified border fence and harsh, jackbooted border patrollers. Meanwhile, a black luxury car with tinted windows has stopped near the alley. Its driver is watching a bare-knuckle fight between Machete and his opponent. Machete wins the fight and gets his money. Machete pays Luz $5 for the taco and coffee she had provided him earlier. Sartana goes to the stand to buy 2 bean and cheese tacos and a coffee. Sartana occasionally wants to see Luz's credentials to ensure she is still authorized to live and work near the labor site, and Luz, thinking turnabout is fair play, likes to ask to see Sartana's badge in return. After getting her tacos, Sartana left. Machete returns at the labor site when the luxury car pulls up, and Michael Booth tells him to get in. He leads Machete into a professionally designed office and serves him a drink. Booth shows the photo of Senator McLaughlin. He quickly describes McLaughlin's hard-nosed policy on illegal immigrants. Booth says, "For the sake of both our peoples, the senator must die." Booth offers Machete $150,000 to kill Senator McLaughlin. Machete accepts the job after Booth threatens to kill him if he does not. Machete sits on a bench at the labor site, looking at pictures of his family during happier times. He goes to Luz's taco stand and gives her the money he was paid, telling her to use it for the people she helps. Senator McLaughlin is making a public appearance. Machete goes to the rooftop to assassinate the senator. McLaughlin's speech is beautifully crafted propaganda designed to work his listeners into a frenzy. At the rooftop, Machete prepares his rifle. Machete is lining his shot up on the senator, when he happens to glance a little to one side. He realizes there is another shooter on another rooftop, Sniper, Booth's bodyguard, and he is aiming another high-powered rifle at Machete. Sniper shoots Machete in the shoulder. He then quickly turns and shoots Senator McLaughlin in the leg. While running, Machete realizes that the whole job was a setup. He has been framed for the assassination attempt on Senator McLaughlin. Machete must fight and shoot his way past a security guard and several of Booth's henchmen to make a good escape. They take Machete into the squad car and drive off with him. The driver of the squad car says Machete must believe they are real cops because they frisked him, cuffed him, and put him in the car just like real cops do. Machete stabs the driver from the back. The car crashes. Machete kicks out the rear windshield and gets clear just as the fake squad car explodes, killing both henchmen. Booth gets a phone call from his bodyguard saying it's done. He thinks Machete is toast. Booth sternly orders his bodyguard to triple-check every hospital and morgue in the city, check everywhere to verify positively that Machete is dead. Meanwhile, Machete is being taken to a hospital that specializes in discreetly treating illegal immigrants. Two pretty young nurses rush him to an ER while carefully telling him that nobody knows he's here, and he was brought in as John Doe. At the hospital, Sniper arrives with other henchmen and holding a flower. He tells the reception nurse he's there to visit someone who'd been brought to ICU. Suspecting trouble, the reception nurse gives directions, but Sniper quickly figures out she's lying. He starts to head in the correct direction, and the reception nurse quietly alerts Doc Felix. Using some surgical tools, Machete kills several Sniper's companion, ripping a hole open in one's midsection and grabbing his intestine, using it as a rope to go through the window and rappel down. Sartana Rivera is playing a combat video game that uses movements from her whole body as controls. As she finishes up, her boss, Jonas, calls her and tells her that Senator McLaughlin was shot by an illegal immigrant. Sartana rushes to her TV and watches footage, amazed as she recognizes Machete. Machete is unsteadily walking down a street when Luz encounters him while returning home in her taco stand truck. She informs him that he is frequently featured on television and invites him into her truck, driving him to her residence. Luz regrettably informs Machete that although she is the leader of the network, the figurehead of She is an imaginary character she invented to instill hope and purpose in the people she assists. Machete informs Luz that she is a warrior capable of ending the injustice. Sniper is arriving with more henchmen at Luz's house. Machete awakens, finding Luz gone. One of henchmen knocks on the door. A steel machete bursts through the door, killing the henchman. Seeing this, Sniper orders his remaining companion to burst in and get him. Machete ambushes one of the attackers, gruesomely killing him with a wine corkscrew. Michael Booth's bodyguard reaches into his car and pulls out a wired C4 brick, hurling it through one of the windows. As Machete kills the remaining henchman, Sartana drives up to the house, looking to question Luz about Machete. Luz's house explodes, hurling one of the dead attackers away from the blast to land on Sartana's car. Machete managed to escape the blast. Machete is limping away from the house when Sartana finally finds him. Pulling her gun, she orders him into her car. As Agent Sartana Rivera drives, she reveals that she is with IC, Immigration Customs and Enforcement. She wants information that she knows Machete has. Machete tells her that he was planning just to shoot Senator McLaughlin in the neck, rendering him mute and stop his propaganda campaign. He then reveals it was all a setup and another shooter was there. Michael Booth and Sniper get a fax that identifies just who the nobody-day laborer they hired for the hit really was, finally understanding that he is serious business. A wireless conference call on Booth's laptop is connecting him to Torres, who asks if Sniper is the man Booth assigned to eliminate Machete. He's disappointed at Booth's high tolerance for failure, but Booth says he is not tolerant, and proves it by garroting Sniper to death right in front of the monitor so Torres can see. Sartana Rivera has brought Machete home and is fixing him a meal in hopes that it will persuade him to talk. Machete tells Sartana that Michael Booth paid him $150,000 to do the job, though he doesn't tell Sartana why he took the money. Noticing that Sartana's hand has moved near the knife she used for preparing his meal, Machete again aims his gun at her and informs her that he intends to locate the man who hired him and bring him to Sartana. To gain her trust, he returns Sartana's gun to her before departing from her residence. Luz escorts Julio and his friend to her garage, revealing an impressive collection of advanced firearms. She will not be around forever, and in the event of something happening to her, she advises that Julio must locate Machete and inform the people of his necessity. Machete goes to a Catholic church. The padre there was once a fellow federal with Machete, who was retired from that business and joined the priesthood. Padre turns on a TV. He shows Machete footage of Senator McLaughlin and Michael Booth giving a press conference shortly after the assassination attempt. Machete points Michael Booth out as the man who hired him and finds out for the first time just who Booth really is. He's an aide to Senator McLaughlin himself. As Machete leaves, he tells Padre he's borrowing his car, a hearse that Padre keeps for a side business, funerals. Machete goes to Michael Booth's house. He finds his way to the shed and grabs some gardening tools so he can pose as a hired gardener. Two of Booth's guards let him past, directing him toward the backyard to clean up there. The guards whirl around just in time for one of them to get whacked by a thrown tool. Machete knocks both guards out, ties them up and dumps them in some high foliage around the front yard. He then finds his way to the swimming pool, where April is setting up a hidden video camera to shoot more footage of her making out with a man, to post on the internet. Machete enters the pool and engages in intimate moments with both April and June. He is then observed taking the video camera out, placing April and June, both still nude and now unconscious from the drugged tequila, into the rear of the hearse. He visits Booth's office and takes several recordable DVDs, aware that they contain a significant amount of sensitive information. He places the video camera, featuring a sticky note that reads "Watch Me," into the box where Booth stored the DVDs. Upon arriving home, Booth enters his office and notices that his DVD box is open. He discovers the video camera and plays the footage as instructed by the note, feeling shocked and horrified as he witnesses April and June kissing Machete. A re-election TV commercial for Senator McLaughlin is shown, exploiting the shooting for sympathy votes. The narration mentions that after taking a vow to defend the state constitution, he has now also taken a bullet for it. Luz is securing and locking her garage when she encounters Vaughn and Billy. Vaughn suspects that Luz is responsible for the shooting of McLaughlin. Luz informs Vaughn that she does not operate in that manner. However, if he desires a conflict, she is willing to engage. Vaughn proposes an eye for an eye solution before drawing his gun and shooting Luz directly in her eye, leaving her barely alive and struggling for life in the street. Osiris is entering the church with henchmen, but Padre sees them coming on a security system he's installed to watch out for burglars. Padre grabs two loaded, high-powered shotguns, getting ready to put his former skills as an ex-federal to good use. By understanding the church's layout, Padre gains the element of surprise and defeats all the henchmen, leaving Osiris to face him alone. Padre almost gains the upper hand on Osiris, however, he is abruptly injured when Booth shoots him in the leg. Booth and Osiris crucify Padre, nailing his arms to the cross that is at the church's altar, interrogating him to learn Machete's whereabouts. Booth gives Padre one last chance to tell him where Machete is. But Padre tells him nothing, knowing he is dead either way. Driving more nails in as hard as he and Osiris can, Booth gives Padre his death. Machete sees silhouettes through the curtained windows, more assassins have found them. Sartana and Machete jump into action, destroying all their would-be slayers, Agent Sartana winning a hilariously choreographed one-on-one battle using a pair of stiletto-heeled shoes as weapons against the masked leader of the assassins. Staring at Padre's crucified body, Machete takes out the cell phone Booth gave him. He sends Booth a stern warning via text message, "You just fucked with the wrong Mexican." Machete invades Booth's residence, swiftly eliminating the bodyguards. The chief of the bodyguards hands Machete a GPS device that will track Senator McLaughlin's limo. Senator McLaughlin approaches the press with Booth standing next to him. Booth has provided McLaughlin with a cane to allow him to simulate a more severe injury to elicit sympathy from the audience. McLaughlin seamlessly transitions into his anti-immigrant rhetoric, promptly deploying his sharp terms like terrorist and invader. However, the correspondent who interacted with Sartana is present at the conference and swiftly counters McLaughlin and Booth. The press coverage rapidly displays video footage of Booth executing Padre while explicitly stating that he was martyring McLaughlin to secure the construction of the border fence. Additionally, it includes footage of McLaughlin ruthlessly killing a young Mexican man and his pregnant wife during the border incident with Vaughn Jackson. McLaughlin, in a fit of anger, draws a revolver and fires multiple shots at Booth's chest before hijacking a taxi to flee the scene. Julio brings Machete to an auto chop shop where he works. His colleagues have all the firepower Luz was keeping stashed at her garage and are preparing for war. Machete informs Julio that an attack on Vaughn will guide them to Torres. Senator McLaughlin arrives at Vaughn's compound, but finds the welcome nowhere near as warm as he'd hoped. Considering McLaughlin in league with Mexican illegal immigrants and guilty of treason against the state of Texas, Vaughn makes preparations for McLaughlin's execution, which will be televised live. Bound to a chair in a shed, McLaughlin is compelled to declare before a camera that he has violated his oaths of office and warrants execution as a traitor. Meanwhile, the convoy of laborers turned revolutionaries reaches Vaughn's compound. Julio's car is mounted with hood-mounted RPG launchers that blow open the gate and take out a high tower suitable for Vaughn's men to launch artillery fire of their own. Slowly the battle starts to turn cheesier and campier as reinforcements arrive for the Mexican people. Doc Felix's ambulance arrives, with his two attractive nurses retrieving abandoned automatic weapons and opening fire on Vaughn's troops. Luz steps out of the ambulance. She is alive and uninjured, wearing an eye patch over the eye that was shot and dressed and armed like the daughter of Rambo. Vaughn and his firing squad must delay McLaughlin's execution and quickly assist in combating the revolutionaries outside. Luz and several revolutionaries enter the shed, where Luz informs McLaughlin that if he wishes to survive, he must quickly assimilate as a Mexican. Ready to advocate for whichever side guarantees his survival, McLaughlin wears denim clothing and a hat reminiscent of the revolutionaries' garb, and is equipped with a pistol. Billy escapes the armory with a few men, abandoning the rest, leaving the others behind. McLaughlin is suddenly struck by a hearse that pulls into the compound. The fallen senator isn't quite sure he trusts his own senses when he sees a beautiful young Catholic nun walk up to him. He pleads with her to give him last rites, thinking he's dying. However, the nun is April, dressed in the habit she had taken from Padre's office, prepared to enact her own version of justice. She fires 3 shots at McLaughlin's chest before grabbing an automatic weapon and entering the battle. Realizing he has lost the war, Vaughn heads to his jeep, shooting a few revolutionaries as he attempts to flee the compound. He has just stepped through the door when he notices Luz's reflection in his rearview mirror. It is the final thing he sees. Torres baits Machete as they battle, Torres's katanas against Machete's machetes. Torres speaks about their past together as fellow Federals before Torres went for power instead of honor. They killed a lot of bad guys together, but now Torres is the bad guy. Machete makes a lunge for Torres, who disarms him and throws him to the ground. He prepares to behead Machete, but Machete's blade is close by. He grabs it and drives it clean through Torres's middle. Acting like the wound is hardly serious and that he could kill Machete now, Torres instead relents, tossing his katana aside and going to his knees, grabbing the machete and disemboweling himself, committing harakiri in front of all the combatants. The henchwoman, the sole survivor of the altercation who was against the immigrants, walks off alone. In the middle of the night, amidst the remnants of the armory, ex-Senator McLaughlin regains consciousness. He had received a bulletproof vest from Luz, which shielded him from April's gunfire, though his leg and hip are still hurt from being struck by the hearse. Using the cover of night, he proceeds to the border, aiming to flee into Mexico, where he is found by Billy and the few survivors of Vaughn's army who escaped the compound. Unaware of McLaughlin's identity due to the darkness and his attire as a laborer, Billy and his men shoot McLaughlin, leaving him caught in the barbed wire. Billy echoes McLaughlin's own words from the border shooting, "Welcome to America." Machete encounters Sartana, who presents him with a green card. However, he declines it, asserting that he is already a legend. They embrace in a kiss and ride away into the night.